Everyone had quit their jobs. Everyone had the same shocked expression on their faces, thinking the same thing. How could a woman with so much success, fame, money, and beauty kill herself? No one could believe it. After all, everyone wanted what Marilyn Monroe had. People couldn't accept that life simply wasn't that valuable to her. Actor Marlon Brando once said this about Marilyn's death. And he was right about one thing. Marilyn was not what she seemed. Behind that cheerful smile lived a fragile, wounded, deeply traumatized soul. At the age of 36, when she took her own life, countless theories began to spread. Was she killed because of her connection to John F. Kennedy? Was it murder? No. Marilyn's death was not a murder. She had intentionally taken her own life. But because people couldn't accept this truth, they clung to conspiracy theories. They believed Marilyn was the person they saw on screen. However, when you look at her past and the world inside her mind, the pieces fall into place. Marilyn Monroe was born on June 1st, 1926, in Los Angeles. Her father was absent, disappeared. Her mother, Gladys, suffered from severe mental illness, so severe that she spent more time in psychiatric hospitals than at home. Just 2 weeks after Marilyn was born, Gladys decided she couldn't take care of her baby and gave her to a foster family. Marilyn, from the moment she opened her eyes to life, never knew what a real family was. She went through 12 different foster homes and even stayed in an orphanage. In one of these homes, she experienced a trauma she would never overcome. A neighbor locked her in a room and sexually assaulted her. She once said, "I thought the people I lived with were my real family. I called them Daddy and Mommy." One day the woman said, "Don't ever call me Mommy again. I'm not even your relative. Your mother will come tomorrow. Call her Mommy if you want." And when my real mother came, she didn't hug me, kiss me, or speak to me. Her father. Marilyn didn't even know who he was. She filled that void through imagination. I once had a daydream that lasted a full week. My father visited me in the hospital, kissed my forehead and said, "You'll get better soon, my dear. You don't cry like the other girls. I'm proud of you." Marilyn spent childhood lost in dreams. She was quiet, introverted, shy. No friends. No one invited her home to play. She hated school. The only thing she bonded with was a stray dog that followed her home. One day, a neighbor killed that dog with a scythe right in front of her. She hated the orphanage too, and in those days, there was only one way for a girl to escape it: marriage. At age 16, she married her 21-year-old neighbor, James Dougherty. They had nothing in common. In Marilyn's words, "We were dying of boredom." While working in a factory, a photographer noticed her beauty and photographed her. The attention she received filled her with confidence, something she had been starved of her entire life. She entered modeling, then acting. But James didn't like it. Marilyn, however, was determined. At 21, she divorced him. She took acting lessons, improved her diction, underwent minor cosmetic procedures, studied constantly. She dedicated her 20s to reinventing herself, and by 28, she was a star. She married baseball legend Joe DiMaggio, but he was jealous and controlling. The iconic skirt-blowing scene in The 7-Year Itch drove him into a rage. He even became physically violent at times. They divorced after 9 months. Later, she married playwright Arthur Miller, a man she deeply admired. He understood her pain more than anyone else before him. Marilyn finally felt seen. But Arthur was intellectual and arrogant. He wanted Marilyn to be more traditional. Marilyn found his diary, where he wrote things like, "Sometimes she embarrasses me." It destroyed her. The marriage lasted 6 years before collapsing. This divorce worsened her depression. She developed cysts, insomnia, and began relying heavily on sleeping pills and painkillers. She was eventually sent to a psychiatric clinic. They locked her in an isolated ward for 3 weeks. She begged her therapist in letters, "I feel like I'm in prison for a crime I didn't commit." Joe DiMaggio, her ex-husband, rescued her by threatening the hospital, but by 36, Marilyn was mixing high doses of medication with alcohol. In August 1962, she deliberately overdosed. It wasn't only her beauty. Hollywood was full of beautiful women. One morning, she wore a too-small sweater to school. Her breasts showed, and suddenly everyone noticed her. They looked at me as if the sweater was made of gold. That moment taught her something: attention, love. And she became addicted to it. Hollywood in the 1940s was filled with cold, manipulative femme fatales. Men were tired of them. Marilyn was the opposite: childlike voice, innocent expressions, a vulnerable girl who needed saving. This triggered men's savior fantasies. But it came with a cost. Hollywood in the 1950s was a hunting ground for predatory producers. Marilyn wrote, "Hollywood is a place where they pay you $1,000 for a kiss, but 50 cents for your soul." Producers constantly made indecent proposals. She rejected many, but the industry viewed her only as a sexual object. Acting teacher Michael Chekhov told her, "No matter what you do, you give off sexual energy. Studios don't care if you're a good actress. They only want your sexuality." Marilyn replied, "I don't want to be that way. I want to be an artist." Marilyn read Dostoevsky, Plato, Aristotle. She wrote poetry. She was shy, introverted, and loved being alone. But because of the roles she played, people assumed she was stupid. She once wrote, "2/3 of the time I don't understand what people are talking about. I feel so stupid." She never graduated high school. She had no family, no guidance. Yet she still enrolled in university classes to educate herself. She wanted to prove she was more than Hollywood's stereotype. Her poems, though chaotic and emotional, revealed deep darkness. "Oh God, I wish I were dead. I wish I didn't exist." She wrote about fear, shame, loneliness, and her depression. Marilyn was genetically unlucky. Her mother had bipolar disorder and schizophrenia. Her grandmother was bipolar and died in a mental hospital. Her great-grandfather died by suicide. On top of that, childhood abuse, neglect, lack of stability. She likely suffered from bipolar disorder and severe PTSD. People who worked with her said she could change completely from one day to the next. Despite being a global star, Marilyn's deepest longing was something simple: a family. She wanted to be a mother, to give a child the love she never received. "The happiest moments of my life were when I was pregnant." But both of her pregnancies with Arthur Miller ended in miscarriage. This shattered one of her biggest dreams. In many interviews, reporters treated her like a child, mocking, patronizing, condescending questions. You can see Marilyn's face fall, her smile fade, her discomfort rise. She was unhappy, anxious, insecure, and these interviews exposed her pain. After divorcing Arthur, she said, "If life has taught me one thing, it's that you can never truly love someone." The last film she starred in was The Misfits, alongside Clark Gable. The man her mother once told her looked like her father. Just like the movie's title, Marilyn herself was a misfit. She didn't fit in Hollywood. She didn't fit in families. She didn't fit anywhere. She said, "I would see every woman as a mother, every man as a father, because I never had one." Marilyn Monroe is remembered as a sex symbol, a Hollywood star, a beauty icon. But behind the image was a child who never grew out of her wounds. She lived starving for attention, love, belonging. Hollywood fed her fame, but starved her soul. Her trauma, genetic predisposition, and the cruelty of the industry eventually consumed her. Marilyn was not the cheerful blonde everyone saw. She was a fragile, lonely girl carrying the weight of an entire lifetime of pain.